Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to use Wavicle's EZConvertBI to migrate Power BI dashboards to Quick using the AWS Transform service. We will start with the landing page where you can select an existing workspace or create your own. For the purpose of this demo, I'm going to pick the beta workspace. As you enter into the workspace, you have few menu items, but more importantly, you have an option to create a new job. Once you hit the Create Job button, you will be provided with few options to help with your migration journey. You can do a mainframe modernization, a BI modernization or migration, Windows modernization, code generation, and all of this stuff. For this demo, we are going to pick the BI migration. Once again, you are provided with few options. If you are migrating from a Tableau into Quick, you can pick the Tableau to Quick Site Converter. But in our case, we are going to pick the Wavicle EZConvert BI or BI to Quick Site Converter. As you can see, it has started processing our request. We will give it a few minutes for the agent to initialize. The agent is ready to process our request, so I'm going to ask it to create the plan to migrate the Power BI dashboards to QuickSight. So the transform agent has started processing our request. You will soon see it will come up with a plan to help with this with our migration request, and I will explain the steps once it shows up on the screen. I mean, there's very good information on this chat. It's gonna explain all the different steps, what it can provide, what it can do, and what are the different things that is needed from a user point of view. Something like a prerequisite. So we will need the Power BI credentials and the QuickSet credentials to connect to the BI tools. We need a machine, a Windows machine to run some of the instructions. And then there are, you know, some items at the bottom explaining what is currently not supported within the EZConvert BI. So I will quickly go through the job plan. As you can see, it has come up with a panel on the left, which is called the job plan panel. The one in the middle is the chat panel. And then, so once we go through the process, you will see there is a panel that appears on the right, which is the form panel where you can input certain information as and when it needed to process the migration. The first step, as always, is the credential step where you need to provide your Power BI and QuickSet credentials to connect to the BI tools and retrieve the dashboards or create one. We have other steps to select the workspace and dashboards or reports you want to analyze or convert, and then we go through an analyzer phase where we analyze the existing Power BI dashboards and reports to understand what is needed and what's the complexity of those dashboards. And once you pick the dashboards you want to convert, there will be other configurations that follow, like configuring the data source, then verifying that the data sources are available in AWS QuickSight, and then the data sets and the calculator fields, and finally it will create the analysis for you and it will generate a summary as well. Right? Without losing time, I'm going to click on the script credentials. Like I explained before, now it has come up with the right panel, which is the form details panel, and it's asking for us to input the Power BI credential provided and then the QuickSight connector as well. This is pre-configured, so you might need to do it in your own environment. So I'm going to pick the connector that is configured to my user, and then the QuickSight connector is where this is needed to connect to the AWS Quick and create your analysis. So once you have selected these two credentials, I'm going to submit. Once this is validated, you will see we will move to the next step where we can select our Power BI workspace. As you can see, the credential step is completed, and we are moving into the next step. This is what I was talking about. The credentials will be validated and verified, and in our case, the connections are verified successfully. So the next step will be to pick the workspace where you have your dashboards. So I have my dashboard in the PBI demo workspace and submit. So we have completed that step, and we moved to this report selection step. As you can see, I have a number of dashboards within that workspace. So I'm going to click on the user streaming analysis. This is the report or dashboard that I want to convert into quick. So select and submit. Again, it is already listed out. It has 19 reports in the PBA demo workspace, and I've selected the user streaming analytics. So before the agent can perform the conversion, it does the analysis step where it connects to the Power BI and understand about the workspace and the different reports. For the Power BI analysis step, you will need to follow the instructions given on the screen. As a prerequisite, you will require a 64-bit Windows machine with Power BI desktop installed and permissions to run .exe files. So once you follow these instructions, you will end up creating an output file, which is the source underscore timestamp.zip. I have already performed these steps, and I have the source underscore zip available with me. So you will need to upload it back in the artifact section using the upload artifact. So I'm going to choose the files to upload. In this case, the source.zip, and hit upload artifact button. Cool. So the artifact is now uploaded. So you have to come back to the job, and in the details panel, you can confirm that you have downloaded the package and followed all the instructions, and you've uploaded the source underscore timestamp zip file to the artifact store and hit submit. It will now validate the source.zip, and it will basically throw a confirmation question, which will come pretty soon. Okay, here it is. So it has found the source.zip that I uploaded, and it's asking me whether that's the right file. So I say yes and submit. Cool. I think it moved on to the next step, and you here it is. So it has started analyzing the reports, and it's going to process the data set, calculate fields and measures, visual components, and relationship, etc. So this will take few seconds to minutes, and once it's done, we will be shown the summary of the analysis. Okay, here it is. So it has identified it is the user streaming analysis workbook, which is what we selected in this step number 2, and it has found 2 dashboards within the workbook, and a total of 12 visuals. So now we have moved to the next step where we will be selecting the dashboards within the workbook that we want to convert. So there are additional information provided in the details section where it's talking about the complexity of the dashboards, what is the complexity score, how many sheets are available, if any calculator fields it will show over here as well. There are 2 dashboards, and I think only one is valid. The other one is kind of a duplicate. So I'm going to only pick the user streaming analysis dashboard, which is a very high complexity dashboard, and say submit. So the next step is basically to accept the cost that is involved with the migration. The agent is smart enough to approximately estimate the dollar amount that will be spent for this migration. So in this case, it is only a $10 for migrating this one dashboard. So I'm going to reply back with an S to continue the conversion. So this is actually the point where the conversion starts after the analysis. So I think it will start configuring the data sources, data sets, calculator fields, analysis, and all that stuff. But this is a starting point. So again, as you can see, it has identified the data source, which is a CSV file data source. And so this is something that is already available in Quick, which I have already, uploaded into the S3 bucket. So basically, if you go into the data set, you can see that it is available over here. So because we have already configured the data source in Quick. So this is not required. If it is not existing, then we might see the steps to configure the data source in Quick. So the next step is to verify the data source and create the data set in Quick. So as you can see, it has created the data set and the data source. So data set is created successfully. So we will be provided an option to verify the data set that is created and confirm so that it can proceed to the next step. So let me click on this data set, and this looks like the data set that we need to convert. It has like 9 columns. So it has the description, title, duration, rating, stars, genre, certificate, year, and votes. So this is the right data set. So let's continue, and we'll say yes, we have verified. So the next step is to create the calculator fields if it existed in the Power BI dashboard. Yeah, it is. It is analyzing to check if there are calculator fields, and it will migrate to Quick. And there are no calculator fields, so this step was quick enough. So if it had a lot of calculator fields, it will convert the calculations, and then, based on the complexity, it might even ask you to verify and, make changes. So I think, yeah, because our dashboard did not have a calculator field, it was a quick step. Then the final step is to create the analysis. So we didn't have the analysis before. I think, yes, the analysis is now created. Cool. So yes, so this is the summary. So we have selected one data set, dashboard, and it had one data source and a data set. It created a data set. The data source was already existing, and no calculator fields, and it has created the analysis. So let me quickly check if the analysis look okay. So this is the analysis. It is the user streaming analysis of a streaming platform. It is a lot of movie titles and showing how many votes for each of those the genres, and ratings for the movies and the genre. So everything is based on data that we had provided, and this is a certificate. How many of them are TV, PG, and all of that. So yeah, I think the conversion was good. There were some overlaps which we can fix it on the visuals. So this is the migration summary, and you will be provided an option to download the conversion results. And as you can see, the conversion results has all the different data points, like on each of the you know components, like calculator fields, data set, data source. It has all the summary data. So this is the final migration summary, and it has completed all the steps, and we are 100% success on this job. So we can officially close this job, and it will be marked as complete. So this is how you can use Wavicle's EZConvertBI to migrate Power BI dashboards to Quick using the AWS Transform service. I think we have converted one dashboard successfully, and again, this is the summary of the job. Right? Thanks for watching.